Today's collectible spot, we are having a look at the Medicom Toys Batman v Superman action figure. Spot's continued his looks at the Medicom Toys Batman v Superman figures with the Superman action figure. Superman comes with two pairs of hands, so 4 extra hands, an interchangeable head, and of course the figure that you see represented here on the right hand side. Down below at the bottom left corner is an image of what the figure is going to look like. Inside the box, you've got Mafex or Mafex Superman action figure, and the back of the package shows you how the figure can also be posed. Some languages there, or a singular language that unfortunately I can't pronounce or decipher. I can tell you though, this is Mafex number 18, the Superman action figure. Down below, produced by Medicom Toys and distributed by Diamond Comic Distributors. There's also a www.comicshoplocator.com if you'd like to find a comic book store in your area. Spot's going to take a break and get this opened up, but when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the Medicom Toys Mafex Superman from Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. There's more anyway, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Oh, but the first thing that we have a look at with Superman is the adjustable display stand that comes included with the figure. Now, we've seen these before when Spot had the look at the Batman v Superman Batman. There's pegs on the undersides, or pegs, I should say, on either side of this somewhat square, though cornered off, cut off, cornered, cleared stand. So what you can do is you can take the middle clip, or at least the adjustable neck portion of it, remove it from the middle, and you can have it on either side as well. This is also good too, that if you have, say, the Batman, it could go on this side, completing this shape, and then you can angle the arms depending on how you want to have them displayed. The neck portion of this is also adjustable. It's hinged at the bottom. It's hinged in a midpoint of the neck, and it's also adjustable at the top. Then at the top, there is this section here that can rotate, and then you've got an open and close waist clip to hold the figure nice and snug for displaying him. Superman, of course, more than Batman, would definitely benefit from having this display stand that you can have the character levitating and, you know, in battle with the Caped Crusader. We'll just move that to the side. Some of the other things as well that come included with the figure is a bunch of interchangeable hands. Defaulted to the sockets of the arm portion of Superman has closed fists. However, if you want something a little bit more, well, for flying, for example, he's got a couple of flat palms. And then slightly a change up from the flat palms, he's got a pair of slightly relaxed hands where the fingers are almost lunging more so towards. So you can change those out to your heart's content. Speaking of changing out, simply just take the arm portion here. And the best thing to do is hold the forearm and just kind of wiggle this off. The arms don't, or the hands don't seem too bad for removing, although because the peg is so very fine on these, putting them back in, be a little bit more careful, that you want to kind of hold your fingers around the peg point just so it doesn't wiggle around as much, and then just alternate sides, just kind of wiggle like this to get the hand in place. The last thing you want to do, you don't need to be a hero and try to push the hand on for fear that it could potentially snap that very, very thin peg. The other thing that comes included with Superman, we won't look at just yet, that's his interchangeable head. But before we do that, let's have a look actually at the figure itself. I very much like this figure. I think as a whole, it's executed pretty good. I guess as the only nitpick, two small nitpicks I can make about the figure, is that his torso, just by virtue that it comes straight down. There's really no definition to the torso of Superman here. What ends up happening is the figure's torso makes the overall execution of it, it makes him look very blocky or chunky. That had they only sloped this in a little bit more as opposed to making it just a straight block, I think would have helped this figure a lot. The other small nitpick, and I guess a more greater nitpick, is the skin tone that they've opted to use for the Man of Steel. Instead of giving him a lighter complexion, they've given him something closer to a tan, but it looks more like a spray tan than it does a natural tan. It's very orangey, Very, very orangey, especially in the face. The hands obviously are the same color, but maybe because there's less of that area being the color. The face, though, is very orange, which is such a shame. The face sculpt is very, very good. In fact, looking at the facial sculpt, I think it's much better than some of the stuff that Mattel was churning out for retail releases. And it might even be better, though I haven't looked at it yet, better than the DC Collectibles version of Superman from the new DC Movies line that they're doing as well. The coloring also in his suit is a metallic, almost metallic, well, it is metallic blue. It's a subtle metallic blue too, and loads and loads of texture to it. All the individual, or all the collective, I should say, little chain texture that they put into the costume also carries then into the Superman emblem. And he does have the additional scroll work that's in the emblem that wasn't there in the Man of Steel. A slight also scaled back look to, it doesn't have as much the darker colors that the Man of Steel costume had, more resorting now to lighter blues. He's got the lining running down his legs, up on his torso area here as well. And even like the belt portion, if you could call it a belt, it's a much more refined look too as well. The cape is attached. I just want to move the cape forward here so you can see. It is attached, but it's only attached by two, what I can only determine as two glued points or two pegged points. It doesn't feel the most secure. In fact, tipping it forward, you can see the only areas in which those cape points are plugged in. It does feel like the cape's going to come loose. It hasn't come loose yet, knock on wood, but I feel like it could potentially do that if I'm tugging on the cape too much. The color on the figure as the cape as well, vibrant. Very nice, shiny cranberry, almost borderline a cranberry burgundy color for his cape. And there's a wire frame also running down the sides and running down the bottom, so you can crimp and fold the cape depending on your preference. I think ultimately what I will end up doing is just display the cape very straight down, but certainly if you want to do a little bit more dynamic, you can also do that as well. Let's have a look now at his alternative head. Let's bring the camera right in to Superman's existing face. Once again, really good face. But if you want something that's slightly different, they also give you this more stern look Superman, which I don't know really what they're supposed to be doing here. His eyes are completely white, I guess conveying the fact it's heat vision, but I wish they had incorporated a little bit more red, or maybe more red around the actual eyeball areas to convey the look of heat vision. I can't imagine it's X-ray vision, because Superman really hasn't used much of X-ray vision, but I don't know, if it is heat vision, I wish they had painted it just a little bit more to read as red, and not so much as the white, almost yellow color that the eyeballs are instead. The hair sculpt is roughly the same, although there's a little bit more of a Superman curl developing on the top there, whereas this Superman's head is more slicked back. To change the head, let's bring the camera back first before we do that. To change the head, just grab the neck portion here and wiggle it off. And you pop it off, and a lot of times you'll pop this point off too, as even taking it out of packaging, the neck popped off frequently. That's okay. We'll put the head on first, then we'll just put it back onto the body. It snaps in very, very easily, and then we can snap that in as well. There we go. I like the head sculpt. In fact, I almost feel, let's bring the camera once again back in, I almost feel like I like this head sculpt better than I like this head sculpt. Had they only included the pupils from this head to this head right here, I think I would have preferred this as the default head. Showing you the difference between the two. Okay, put that away. Maybe we'll just stick the head with this head for the rest of this review. I just really like the head sculpt. I wish that the pupils were just more painted in, that's all. Now when it comes to his posability, let's run through this together. This is basically where the Mafex figures do benefit from. His head is on a ball joint, so not only do you get the full range of motion there in the head, but then also The neck socket, as you can see as well, even though it unpegs a lot, is also on its own ball joint. The shoulders are can hinge forward and back, I should say. And you can see right there that there is a pin and hinge joint right there, where the arm can rotate out all the way around. Has a swivel point in the bicep, a double hinged elbow. Even though it is a double hinged elbow, you can't really bend the arm further back just because Superman's massive biceps are in the way. There's a rotation also in the wrist, a hinge up and down, or this way as well, depending on which way you rotate the hand, of course. Upper torso ball joint, lower torso ball joint in the legs, good range of motion there. Double hinge knee, which at least you can accomplish unlike the arm portion of it. And not only does he have a ball joint in the foot, he has the ankle pivot, and he also has a hinge right on the foot or toe section of his boot. Spot did like the Batman that we had a look at, but I think I really like the Superman. Providing, of course, you can get the head completely plugged in. Not 100%. Oh, and also, I should say, these legs also hinge down. What I was going to say, though, is I do like, I think, this Superman more so than I like the Batman. It's not 100% perfect. The skin tone, I think, could have had some work done to it, so it wasn't going to be conveying and reading as much as this jaundice, yellowy orange color that he ended up being. But for the rest of it, though, the figure really turned out quite good. Spot found this at his local comic book store, and I also picked up the Wonder Woman that we're going to be looking at in a separate review, so certainly stay tuned for that. Today's collectible spot, though, we were having a look at the Medicom toys. This was the Mafex Batman v Superman. I believe this was figure 18. This was the Man of Steel's Superman. Stay tuned, guys. Like I said, Spot's got the review of Wonder Woman. I picked her up at the same time as I picked up Superman here, so stay tuned for that. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.